Hello and welcome to another week of Talk of the Town. G'day to the Port Adelaide Premiership champion, Warren Tredrea.
Seb Costello, how are you? But what the hell is that other thing who's joined us?
Well, I was going to say, I don't recognise our other panel member. Can you please identify yourself?
No, well, just I got the Sharon yellow mask is what I asked for down in the store, and these are troubling times here in Victoria. So I just wanted to be reminded, so when I did go for a kick, I'd be matching it, which is very important.
I thought you were having an operation to get a heart, but we must be mistaken.
Oh, that was a joke. Sorry, you just need to hold up a sign, Warren, when you make jokes, because it's not always clear with you at the best of times.
Yeah, joke.
Yeah. That's better.
We've just had an email from a viewer who says Sam looks better with the mask on. So if you want to leave it for the rest of the program, that'd be okay.
We just do this.
A couple of sponsors in there. All right. Well, enough criticism of our panel. Well, let's move on to umpire criticism. Al Clarkson's been basically running a campaign against the umpires this year. It started off with criticism of the holding the ball rule. He then talked about how it seemed that Sydney had an extra man on the weekend and there was staging going on. Tredders, let's start with you because this seems to have been a bigger talking point today than it was, say, 20 years ago. What's going on with the umpire?
Well, I think we've got too much time on our hands. Everyone's living in hubs, so we're concentrating on all the minor things in football. I've got two great examples, I think, what we can do and what we can't do, because it's very much a grey area. We know the AFL doesn't want anyone commenting because there's issues with getting umpires at grassroots, keeping them in a positive mindset, because let's face it, all they do is cop it from the crowd. And when they do a really good, if it was a footballer who had a really good game and kicked 6 or had 35 touches, we laud them. Umpires, we just say, oh, we didn't notice them. They had a good day. So I think Alistair Clarkson's out of line when you say they've got an extra man. Like, that's just poor form. He should have been fined and the AFL should have been stronger on it, other than sending out an email to say everyone be reminded of the rules. Like, come on, let's be serious. If you're going to show some leadership, ping the biggest coach in the game. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. But what I did like is what I saw about Ken Hinkley post-match. He spoke about numerous things and the challenges facing the umpires. And when you have the AFL CEO, the best coach in the land, everyone in the media commenting on the form of the umpires, I think there needs to be clarity, and he puts it really, really well.
Let's take a look at Ken Hinkley.
I'm not an umpire basher at all, but gee, that was an interesting game. I think the challenge with the umpiring, I'll say this, the challenge with the umpiring is that it should not change from week to week. That's confusing for everyone, players, for the umpires. Like, the umpires walk off there tonight and they got a howling. That's not their fault, most of it. The game shouldn't get adjusted from week to week. The rules are the rules. They don't need to change. We just need to umpire them consistently. Like I want my team to play consistently. You can't tell me that coaches talking about the umpiring or Gil talking about the umpiring or me talking about the umpiring and trying to make it an adjustment. That doesn't work. That's not the way the game should be. And for umpires to have a week-to-week focus, their week-to-week focus shouldn't change from round one to round whatever we play, because their focus should be to umpire the rules as they're written and umpire them that way. Then everyone will become really clear with what to expect.
Yeah, very calm there from the power coach, although you can see his frustration. Sam, get your take. Firstly, you've got the back page of the Age today on Al Clarkson. Do you think the AFL missed an opportunity to send a message by not finding it?
Yeah, I think they did. I don't think what Clarko said was absolutely abhorrent, but there are clear rules, and that is you don't talk about the umpires in a public forum. And I think for the AFL to send out a memo reminding people of that is just simply not strong enough. It's not the first time that they've been like that. I mean, you've got rules, adhere to them. People know the rules, and Alistair has got form with this sort of stuff. He was fined 3 years ago in 2017 for saying, I don't talk about disgraceful umpiring. And now he's made a comment, albeit seemingly tongue-in-cheek, about, there being an extra player on the ground for the opposition. I think the AFL had a really strong opportunity to send a message, and they've decided to go against that. But look, I don't think we should be surprised. And look, let's just separate something for a moment. I think that the AFL, I think that Gil McLachlan and Steve Hocking and Travis Auld have done a really good job continuing to get this season going under extreme circumstances. But let's be honest, there are numerous examples over the last decade the AFL make things up on the run with how they respond to things. This is just another example of that.
Trent, as if it was a less senior AFL. I was just going to say, Trent, just quickly, do you reckon Al Clarkson standing in the game affected the AFL's decision in fining him? If it was lower profile coach, do you reckon they would have been fined?
Absolutely. That's just my take. But
100%. Let's be honest. Like, if that had been Reece Shaw, he would have been fined before the day was out. But because it's Alistair Clarkson, even though
Alistair Clarkson's on twice the money. How does that make sense? But the thing I liked about what Ken Hinckley said is he's talking the frustrations from everyone at the moment, because I was in a game between, and I called it for 5AA, between Port Adelaide and St Kilda last week. And there were some terrible decisions. There was a deliberate out of bounds when Justin Westhoff kept the play and fell momentum over the line and couldn't keep it in. Yeah, there was some blokes hit below the legs. There was about 4 or 5 in a row. It was an absolute shocker. But the reality is, I think what Ken's saying is true. Why do we make it up on the run? Why do we change things on the run? Let's set the rules and let's set it for a year so it's consistent, so the umpires can actually get the best run at doing their job. You know, footballers don't change their plans overnight. They plan them a week out in advance to take on someone. The umpires don't need to change a game plan. They just need to implement the rules. Simple.
Remember, Tredrea, and Seb, just to cap off on this, and I know I'm in the absolute minority when I say this, so happy for people to disagree, but the deliberate out of bounds rule, for me, summarises so much of what is wrong with when the game actually changes the emphasis of rules for umpires. The deliberate out of bounds rule was fine for 80 years, and then they decided to change it. It's actually not deliberate out of bounds. You've got to actively be trying to keep it in. So what they've done is they've made umpires have to be mind readers as well. Was he trying to keep it in?
Yes.
I think he might have been trying to keep it in. I'm not actually sure because I'm not inside his head. And now they're doing the same thing. We've got to be making a genuine attempt. Is he making a genuine attempt? I don't know if it's genuine. What does the word genuine mean? Holding the ball. You know, we're just going to continue to do this. The poor umps. You know, it's not as though they're paid $1 million a year to be mind readers. They're there to make split-second decisions. Jordan Bannister, who played, I think, the best part of 200 games for 2 different clubs and then went and became an AFL umpire, said it was harder because you're making split-second decisions that actually influence the flow of the play. So I just think they've got the hardest game in the world, and I think they're not properly protected by the AFL when people in high standings in the game criticise them.
Josh Jenkins did this tweet over the weekend. Just wanted to get a quick reaction. He said, "Do we let these ups back into the hotel after the game?" Was that treading a bit too close to the line?
Oh, I think he's just trying to stay a little relevant, old Josh. I know him really well, but he's not playing footy, so he's going to get himself back out there at some stage. I think it's all in. No, that's true. I know Josh really well.
Poor bloke's
no, but he's not a bad side.
Having a go at him while he's injured.
He's good at getting on the tweet. Don't worry about that. And with that comes the consequences. You get smashed on Talk of the Town. Deal with it.
Exactly.
He'd be the first bloke buying the umpire's coffee because he wants a cheap free kick when he comes back. Don't even worry about that.
He'll watch this and he won't be happy. I had nothing to do with this, Josh. It's all Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the Power look the goods at the moment, but it is a crucial month ahead for Port Adelaide. Take us through it, Warren. What's happening for the Power and can they pull it off?
I didn't remember what happened last week against St Kilda. Oh, that's right. Paddy Ryder came back to haunt his old team. Don't make the mistake. Everyone talks about premierships. I was one of the few that actually said, hang on, let's just see Port Adelaide sit this situation out, because a lot of the last few years they've got ahead and then fallen away and lost form. Well, their next month is pretty damning. They play Melbourne on tomorrow night in Queensland, followed by the Bulldogs at home, who beat them convincingly here in Adelaide Oval last year, Richmond at home, Geelong away, and they're still to play the Bombers and Collingwood. So their next month, if they don't go 2-2, you can forget about any high hopes or premiership hopes, because you've got to be able to beat those good teams if you're going to be a chance.
What? This is unbelievable. They're top of the ladder,
go further.
and Tredrea has come up with a way for them not to be eligible to win the flag.
Yeah, okay, here you go. Here's one without notice. Who's Port Adelaide beaten in the top 8?
I don't know their fixture off the top of my head.
One team.
Gold Coast are outside the 8. Carlton are outside the 8. I don't know. Who is it?
West Coast. And they got West Coast at a good time. So if you want some perspective, yes, they're sitting top. They're doing everything they can. They've lost 2 games. One they got belted last week was really poor effort. But Melbourne, Bulldogs, Richmond, Geelong, and then with future, as I said, against Essendon and Collingwood, well, the question marks are still there. Are they once the big boys? And a lot of people talking up flags. Well, their next month's going to define their season. Sorry, not month. Next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, should I say.
Port must be happy having two of their greats in Warren Tredrea and Kane Corns. Just really positive about, the club's future, even when they're top of the ladder.
Hang on. Kane wants to extend the coach. He's really bullish, isn't he?
Goodness, mate.
Either this is a great motivational tactic from you, Treaders, or it is a bit of, it was never as good as it was in my day.
Yeah. Well, I think, let's just say, can you say you have a bet each way? You can sit there and go, hey, I told you, yep, I put it on them, they delivered, they're everything. If not, I told you they were no good. Simple. No, the challenge awaits them. It's a massive challenge, and let's face it, their injuries are mounting too. There's a lot of blokes out on that injury list at the moment.
Yep.
Well, speaking of, your day, everything old is new again. We're going to get to that in a moment because there's some players are paying tribute to the great four-time All-Australian Warren Tredrea. I want to touch on that after, Sam, we talk a little bit about the implications of New South Wales going into another lockdown in the metropolitan area. There's also some changes to the border. How does this affect football?
Yeah, so small change, but significant enough for the two Sydney teams, the Giants and the Swans. They've decided, Anastasia Palaszczuk, to shut their borders to New South Wales as of Friday midnight, I think Saturday morning. So they were originally going to fly in, fly out, the two Sydney teams. GWS have their next two games at Metricon Sydney, next to at the Gabba, but they can't anymore. So I think they've just been told, we're talking on a Wednesday, they've been told late on Wednesday morning to be ready to get on a plane as of Thursday and leave their loved ones. So they'll spend the next week and a bit in Queensland and then go over to Perth.
Huge logistical operation looming for the AFL industry too, Treaders, with roughly about 400 industry figures, 1,500 people, if you count family, all transplanting into the Gold Coast hub. It's just an extraordinary
1,501 if you count pets as well.
Yes. Now, I wanted to mention this too, Sam. So there is a player who's asked the AFL House whether they can bring their puppy into the hub.
Who?
Yes, name names. Come on.
Who?
I don't know. Tom Brown.
Bull dust. You know who it is. Who is it?
Seb's co-worker broke this on radio a little earlier. I'm unaware of who it is, but I tell you what, I'd like to be the fly on the wall when the player asked either his footy manager or the AFL, do you reckon I could sneak the puppy up? And fair enough. We all need,
Seb,
need a companion.
Who is it?
I'm not. I don't know either. Actually, Tommy's.
Oh, you're jumping around. Hang on, there's a bit of a stutter there. But who was it?
Did Seb's computer move, or was that him just?
I'll be totally honest with you. Tommy rang me this morning, and I haven't returned his call yet, so I haven't had a chance to ask him.
Seb, return Tom's call.
Yeah, I will. I'll ring him back. I've got to do the show first.
So we're the only ones who aren't in a Queensland hub. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just about. About, yeah.
We've got to really lift this show's budget.
No. I'm happy being away from the UVs. Winter is where I belong.
Yeah,
you still get burnt by the moon. That's all right.
I'm getting burnt right now. This is burning. This is burning me. That is UVs. I had to put on sunscreen before. Why are you laughing? It's real.
My goodness. Well, what else is real is the respect the current generation has for one of the game's greats. And this really warmed the heart over the weekend, Sam. I really enjoyed this. It's about time the players of today recognise just how good our man, Warren Tredrea, was.
That's right.
He invented the most iconic goal celebration in history. Have a look at Cam Rayner over the weekend. He's got the big phone up to his ear. Not only him, Jason Johannesson of the Western Bulldogs. Very, very nice. And, of course, the man who started it all. There it is, the original telephone celebration from the great Warren Tredrea.
Yep, and I actually can't claim it all. The great Thierry Henry is who I was trying to copy, yes, because he did the WhatsApp when he flicked it to himself and scored against Man U. That was a long time ago, Arsenal fans. Don't worry about that. But I was actually calling my mate in London who was at the walkabout, and he was about probably 10 pints deep. And we'd beaten North Melbourne. But, I used to cop it for my celebrations, and this is where I need actually some apologies because I got smashed for jumping grand final day, following a Pat Cash and jumped up in the crowd to my family. Yes. Then everyone starts to copy. Now I got smashed, the copy. Who's going to bow next? That's the challenge. AFL players. Who to bow, and then I am vindicated. I'm a clear man.
No, I was a big fan of the jump into the crowd, and this one was a big winner. But the bow hasn't aged well, and I don't.
I'll take all three.
Back up.
I will take all three. Keep ringing. Actually, there's a challenge now. I know a lot of AFL players watch this show. Somebody needs to pull off the bow this weekend, and there'll be a reward. We'll have you on Talk of the Town next week. Now, if that isn't motivation,
that's a big reward.
We don't give those spots away very often.
We haven't had a player on in a while, actually.
Well, that's true. Maybe we should have
probably
this
telling
guy
us something.
Maybe we should have this man on. The Warrnambool boy, some called the next buddy when he was taken by the Western Bulldogs. He is our social club inductee for this week, recognising terrific social media and what looks like a terrific set there. Check side shot. I choked on that one. This is Jamara Ugle-Hagen from the Dogs.
There it is. That's it.
Look, now I never know whether to believe those things or not. Is that a Photoshop job or not, Sam?
I got my heart was ruined last time that I believed in one of these with the Gold Coast player that we had on. Was it Ainsworth? Who did we have on? Gold Coast Suns player. Okay, no one remembers. Fine.
Know your players, mate. Don't go to.
I honestly forget who it was.
We're running out of time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The egg onto the pan, and I believed it. And Warren, and then he came on and said that it was fake. So I just thought, I don't believe it now. I don't believe anything.
Yes. Well, congratulations. All right. Sure things, gentlemen. Here's the leaderboard. Everything is well with the world. The Bombers looked after me by knocking off the Crows, although they did their best to lose it. I always give you first crack. I don't know why, but who's your sure thing?
I don't want first kick. No, I'm going last.
Oh, okay. I'll jump in. Sam. I'm going to take the Saints to beat Sydney.
Yes. All right. I'm going to take the Eagles to beat the Cats.
Oh,
come on, Warren.
I want the Lions to beat the Bombers.
Oh,
Seb won't be happy
that's
with
unnecessary.
That's a challenge. You got to actually pick a hard one sometimes, boys. You know that?
No, you don't actually have to do anything. You just have to pick a team that wins. Can I just pose a question before we go? I was going to put this on Twitter before. I still might. So 20 days of straight footy starts tonight. We have one TV at home.
Yes.
There's only so many times I can pull that, hey, I have to. It's work card. So any sort of suggestions as to how I kind of just sort of softly remind Nisha that the football is going to be on the next 20 nights?
Simple. Do you have Foxtel?
Yes.
Yeah. You got an iPad?
Yes.
And it's cold outside? Go hop in bed, put the electric blanket on and watch it on the little screen, mate.
But I need the big screen. I need the big
grow a set.
Yes. No, the second one won't be happening. No. I wouldn't have thought so. I think the softly.
I'm very curious, Sam. When the football isn't on in your house, what are you and the wonderful Nisha typically watching?
Well, we've kind of clocked Netflix now. So we're going back and rewatching things. So we've restarted House of Cards, which is actually better the second time around. If anyone's got any suggestions for things, anything dark, anything that goes for sort of 4+ seasons, not Breaking Bad, I've done it, Treaders. I know you're going to say that.
No. Catastrophe.
Oh. Okay. What's that on?
Very interesting relationship between two people. That's all I'll say.
Is it Netflix or is it Stan or is it what?
I think it's pretty sure it's Netflix.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. My wife says Stan. It's on Stan. Okay. Always ask the wife.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you, Bianca.
It's on Stan. And it's about a guy who goes to London.
That's enough.
He's from Boston. He meets her in London. Something happens and then 9 months later a baby arrives. It's very interesting.
We need to get Treaders one of these.
Yes. That's a very good idea. Treaders is off to do an All-Australian meeting. We'll expect a full report of that next week. For Adelaide champion, Warren Tredrea, thank you.
Bye-bye. See ya.
And Sammy McClure, we'll catch you next week.
See you, boys.
You've been watching Talk of the Town.